Found her baking in the Mojave sun. Desert heat hasn't been kind, but the structural bones look solid. Water pressure is the first line of defense. Decades of baked-on desert crust peeling away like old skin. The chemical soak breaks down the alkaline desert salts. It smells like old laundry and aviation fuel. The wash reveals the true damage. Sun-bleached, oxidized, but beneath the scars, she is completely structurally sound. These fasteners haven't turned since 1974. A little pneumatic persuasion is required to wake them up. Opening up the nose bay reveals the original radar housing. Smells like old insulation and forgotten technology. The canopy mechanism is jammed with sand. Taking it off completely is the only way to save it.
Lifting 40 pounds of vintage aviation acrylic. One slip here, and this canopy cracks into useless pieces.
The escape system is completely inert, thankfully. Still, handling an ejection seat makes you respect the engineering. The wing flaps have severe binding issues. We need to tear them down to the bare bearings. Taking it down to raw, bright steel. The sparks mean we're past the rust and into good metal. Phosphoric acid reaction. It converts active iron oxide into stable iron phosphate. Science doing the heavy lifting. Stitching up a stress fracture on the main skin. Aluminum needs a steady hand and a hot arc. First layer of protection. This epoxy primer seals the fresh aluminum away from oxygen permanently. A little filler to iron out a small hanger rash dent. Smooth profiles are critical for aerodynamics. Sanding by block ensures a true flat plane. Your bare fingers are the best judge of the contour, sliding the seat back home. It feels good to see the cockpit look like a command center again.
Tolerances are tight on aviation hinges. A perfect slip fit means our alignment work was spot on. Closing up the nose bay. The lines of the Skyhawk are finally starting to look sleek again.
New canopy glass goes on. The view from inside the office just became crystal clear. Prep work is 90% of a flawless paint job. One stray drop of paint ruins this acrylic. Laying down the base coat. Olive drab is the foundation of this classic United States Navy camouflage scheme.
Freehanding the camouflage transitions. It takes a steady breathing pattern to get that perfect military feathered edge.
Stenciling the original tailcodes. These numbers link this specific airframe back to its active squadron days.
The mask pull is the most satisfying part, crisper than a factory finish from 1968.
Unveiling the office. The contrast between the fresh camouflage paint and clean glass is absolutely staggering, bringing out a subtle satin sheen. Military birds shouldn't be high gloss, but they need to glide through the air. Wiping off the glaze reveals the true depth of the color. She looks like she just rolled off the Douglas assembly line. Polishing the landing gear chrome to a mirror finish. This ensures the hydraulic seals stay tight and pressurized. Final glass polish. When the reflection disappears completely, you know you've done the job right. There she is. From a forgotten desert relic back to a museum-grade masterpiece, the Skyhawk lives again.
Every angle tells a story of transformation. A complete zero-compromise restoration of American aviation history.
Ready for her final display. Left in the sun to die, but brought back to perfection by hand. Sometimes you have to drill out the old history to build the new. These structural rivets are completely fused. Titanium against aluminum. Over 40 years, galvanic corrosion has practically welded these two structural components together, grinding down the old, failed field repairs. The intake duct must be completely smooth to prevent engine air turbulence. Slicing a brand new patch panel for the lower tail skin. New metal is the only way to cure structural rot. Deburring prevents stress risers. A single microscopic scratch on an edge can cause a catastrophic crack under aerodynamic load, shaping compound curves by feel. The English wheel is a lost art form, turning flat sheets into liquid aerodynamic lines. Temporary Cleco pins lock the skin panel in place. The fitment is flush within 0.03 of an inch, driving solid rivets like they did at the factory. It's a two-handed symphony of impact and compression. Shaving the rivets perfectly flush eliminates skin drag. Every single knot counts when you're aiming for historical perfection. Torque set to 140 foot-pounds. This main spar holds the wing to the fuselage under heavy G-loads. Safety wire ensures that severe engine vibration can never back these flight control bolts out. Standard operating procedure.
A fresh Viton seal replaces the dry rotted rubber. This system holds 3,000 pounds of hydraulic pressure. Rewiring the main bus. Out with the brittle, cracked insulation, in with modern military-spec Teflon-coated copper strands. Sinking the original clockwork instruments back in. Analog beauty that survived the digital revolution completely untouched. Smooth mechanical feedback. The throttle linkages are fully greased and tracking true to the engine bay. Packing the front wheel bearings. It's a messy job, but critical for a smooth touchdown down the line. Seating the front tire assembly. The main landing gear has to support 24,000 pounds of aircraft weight. Bending the cotter pin locks the axle nut for life. Simple, foolproof mechanical engineering that never fails. Feathering out the primer edges before the main color coats. Any imperfection here echoes loudly in the final finish. Air pressure regulated to exactly 90 psi. Consistency in air volume is the secret to a perfect spray pattern. Mixing the polyurethane topcoat. The chemical activator starts a cross-linking reaction that cures into a bulletproof finish. Stirring slowly to avoid trapping air bubbles. A single bubble can cause a microscopic pinhole blowout in the paint booth. Gun is loaded and pressurized. Time to give this old Cold War Warbird her original identity back. Starting on the vertical stabilizer. A steady 6-inch distance is maintained to ensure a perfectly even mill thickness.
Overlapping each pass by exactly 50%. This prevents tiger striping in the flat matte pigment.
Blending the secondary green camouflage pattern. The original factory blueprints specify a soft 4-inch overspray transition zone. The multi-tone camouflage scheme is taking shape. This specific pattern matches the historical VF-43 squadron detachment. The exhaust shroud gets high-temperature black. This area sees temperatures over 1,200 degrees during flight. Squeegeing down the primary identification stencils. Crisp edges are vital before we shoot the white accent paint. Shooting the insignia white. Spraying at a perfect perpendicular angle prevents the paint from creeping under the vinyl mask. A perfect mask release. No runs, no bleeds. The old Cold War lettering looks absolutely spectacular, adding the iconic National Star and bars. This is the soul of any vintage United States military aircraft restoration. The star and bars are clean. She's officially reclaiming her identity as a proud United States Navy fighter. Sealing the panel lines. This keeps high-speed aerodynamic moisture out of the electronics bays hidden inside. The anti-glare shield gets flat black paint. This stops blinding sun reflections from hitting the pilot's eyes during tactical maneuvers, pumping high-pressure grease into the main wing hinges. Mechanical components need love just as much as the cosmetics. Time to level the paint. We're running a fine wool compound pad to knock down any minor orange peel texture. The compounding pad levels the clear coat microscopic ridges. The satin sheen emerges like silk from raw stone. Moving to the final finishing glaze. This glaze seals the microscopic pores of the polyurethane paint matrix. Spreading the glaze with a finishing foam pad. Low speeds ensure we don't generate excess heat on the aluminum panels. And there's the money shot. The haze clears away to reveal an absolutely flawless, deep, rich military finish.
Chasing the details inside the panel lines. Any leftover white compound dust will ruin the final presentation look.
Spraying clear aerospace wax. This locks out moisture and prevents raw steel from oxidizing ever again. Seating the chrome lock strip into the window gasket. It keeps the rubber sealed tight under cockpit pressurization. Hanging the safety streamers. No restoration is authentic without the operational safety tags in their proper mechanical places. Conditioning the vintage aviation rubber. This prevents sidewalk ozone cracking and preserves the compound for museum display longevity. Locking down the main gravity fuel port. Every hatch and cap is now completely functional and historically sealed. The final inspection hatch goes home. This marks the literal end of the physical reassembly process. The final dust down. She is officially clean, complete, and ready for her grand reemergence into the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 1968 Douglas A-4 Skyhawk is fully restored. From a sun-baked desert wreck, back to operational beauty.
Look at that glass. The lines of this cockpit section are some of the most aggressive in naval aviation history. Every panel line is filled, every rivet shaved. She looks better today than she did leaving the factory floor.
The Delta wing configuration in all its glory. Sleek, compact, and designed to carry a massive payload off carrier decks.
The tailcodes stand proud. This airframe flew missions off the USS Hancock, and now her history is preserved forever. The gear is down, locked, and detailed to Concourse standards. Not a single drop of oil out of place. Opening the hangar doors. It's time to let this beautiful Skyhawk see the real sky for the first time in decades. Rolling her out to the flight line. Seeing this camouflage scheme under natural sunlight is an absolute dream come true. From a forgotten desert ghost to a living tribute. Thank you for watching the complete journey of the Skyhawk. Deep inside the engine bay, the compressor shroud has locked up from oxidation. Grinding it clean is our only option. Magnesium corrosion is incredibly destructive. It turns solid aircraft structure into white powder if left unchecked, gutting the entire legacy wiring harness. 40 years of thermal cycling has turned this insulation brittle as eggshells, soaking the main fuel check valves in high-strength penetrant. If these threads gall, the entire pump assembly is trash. Excising the damaged intake skin panel. There's no repairing a compound dent this deep in high-flow areas. Carving out the structural stress cracks. We have to go past the crack tip to find completely stable metal. Hand-forming a new internal stiffener rib. This bracket reinforces the skin directly behind the main landing gear mounts, drilling the new structure into place. Precision alignment here prevents the wing skeleton from warping under flight strain. Countersinking ensures the solid rivets sit perfectly flush with the skin. Smooth lines mean less parasite drag later. Bucking rivets internally. The shop head must expand to exactly 1.5 times the original shank diameter. Locking down the elevator flight control push rods. These mechanical linkages bridge the cockpit stick to the tail surfaces. Installing fresh stainless steel brake lines. The original rubber hoses had completely vulcanized and rotted over the decades. Sinking the oxygen regulator module back into the side console. Every single knob has been stripped and rebuilt internal. Crimping new gold terminal lugs. Standard crimps can oxidize. Military spec ratcheting tools ensure a gas-tight mechanical connection. Threading the primary fuel feed line. This massive braided conduit supplies fuel directly to the Pratt & Whitney turbine.
Mounting the red port navigation lens cover. It's a brand new old stock glass piece found in an original packing crate. Checking panel gaps across the engine doors. Proper fitment keeps the aerodynamic airflow completely smooth across the underbelly skin. Lubricating the canopy tracks with lithium grease. This ensures the cockpit slides open smoothly without binding under extreme heat. Pressurizing the main airframe systems for a static leak test. Let's see if our new lines hold up to specs. UV leak check is 100% clean. No leaks, perfect pressure. The airframe systems are officially zero-timed and complete.